There is something fascinating about certain people. They enter a room without demanding attention, yet people notice them. They speak without raising their voice, yet others listen carefully. They face challenges without appearing overwhelmed, and they carry themselves with a quiet confidence that cannot be faked. Many believe this kind of presence is a gift. They think some people are simply born charismatic while others are not. But this is one of the greatest misconceptions about human nature. Magnetism is not something you inherit. It is something you cultivate. Mental strength is not the absence of fear, pain, or failure. It is the ability to remain steady while experiencing all of them. Likewise, being magnetic has very little to do with appearance, popularity, or social status. Real magnetism comes from the quality of your character. It comes from the discipline of your mind, the stability of your emotions, and the consistency of your actions. People are naturally drawn to individuals who are grounded, because stability creates trust. In a world filled with noise, impulsiveness, and constant distraction, the calm mind stands out. While others seek attention, the mentally strong person develops substance. While others chase approval, they build integrity. And over time, integrity becomes more attractive than image. The encouraging truth is that these qualities are not reserved for a select few. They are built through habits. Small choices repeated every day until they become part of who you are. Today, we will explore 7 powerful habits that shape a magnetic personality and an unshakable mind. These habits are not shortcuts to success or popularity. They are principles that strengthen your character from the inside out. As these habits become part of your daily life, you will notice something remarkable. You will no longer need to convince people of your worth because your presence will speak long before your words do. One of the greatest misunderstandings about becoming mentally strong is believing that strength begins in the outside world. Many people think confidence comes after success, peace comes after circumstances improve, and self-worth comes after receiving recognition from others. They spend years trying to control everything around them. How people see them, how many compliments they receive, how much approval they can collect, or how quickly they can achieve visible success. Yet no matter how much external validation they gain, they often continue to feel uncertain inside. This is because the outside world can never permanently stabilize an unstable inner world. The strongest foundation of a magnetic personality is self-mastery. Before you learn to influence others, you must learn to influence yourself. Before you expect respect from others, you must develop respect for your own values. Before you seek peace in your environment, you must create peace within your own mind. Every day, your mind is exposed to countless opinions, expectations, and distractions. People will praise you one day and criticize you the next. Some will admire your progress, while others will misunderstand your intentions. If your emotional state depends entirely on these changing circumstances, then your peace will always be temporary. You will spend your life reacting instead of leading. Mental strength begins the moment you stop asking, "What do they think about me?" and start asking, "What do I think about my actions?" That single shift changes everything. It moves your attention away from things you cannot control and places it where real growth happens, within yourself. This does not mean ignoring feedback or refusing to learn from others. Constructive advice is valuable, and wise people remain teachable. However, there is a difference between learning from others and becoming dependent on their approval. One helps you grow, the other keeps you emotionally imprisoned. A mentally strong person welcomes correction without allowing criticism to define their identity. They appreciate encouragement without becoming addicted to praise. Think about how much energy people lose trying to maintain an image. They carefully choose their words to avoid judgment. They compare themselves with people whose lives appear more successful. They constantly wonder whether they are good enough, attractive enough, talented enough, or accomplished enough. This endless comparison creates exhaustion because there will always be someone who seems to have more. When your value depends on comparison, satisfaction becomes impossible. Instead, begin observing your own mind. Notice how quickly emotions appear. Notice how anger rises when someone disagrees with you, how disappointment grows when expectations are not met, or how pride appears after receiving praise. These emotions are not your enemies. They are teachers. They reveal where your attachments are and where your inner work still needs attention. Self-awareness is one of the most powerful forms of education because it exposes the patterns that silently control your life. You cannot change what you refuse to notice. Once you become aware of your habits of thinking, You gain the ability to replace them with healthier ones. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin responding intentionally. Imagine two people facing the exact same criticism. One becomes defensive, loses sleep, and spends days replaying the conversation. The other listens carefully, considers whether the criticism contains truth, learns what is useful, and calmly lets go of the rest. The difference is not intelligence. It is mastery over the inner world. Your thoughts shape your emotions. Your emotions influence your decisions. Your decisions create your habits. Your habits eventually become your character. This is why protecting the quality of your thinking is one of the greatest responsibilities you have. If you constantly feed your mind fear, resentment, envy, and insecurity, these qualities will eventually become visible in your actions. But if you consistently cultivate patience, gratitude, discipline, and humility, those qualities will naturally become part of your presence. People are drawn to those who possess inner stability because stability is rare. In uncertain situations, everyone looks for the calmest person in the room. Calmness is contagious. Confidence without arrogance inspires trust. Emotional balance creates safety for those around you. These qualities cannot be purchased, borrowed, or imitated. They are developed through years of honest self-reflection and disciplined practice. Remember that every difficult situation offers two opportunities. One is to react emotionally and strengthen old habits. The other is to observe yourself, choose a wiser response, and strengthen your character. Every challenge becomes training. Every disagreement becomes practice in patience. Every disappointment becomes an opportunity to deepen resilience instead of bitterness. Real confidence is quiet because it no longer needs constant confirmation. It is not built on applause, achievements, or public recognition. It is built on knowing that your values remain intact even when no one is watching. It comes from keeping promises to yourself, acting with integrity, and remaining faithful to your principles, regardless of changing circumstances. When your inner world becomes organized, the outer world begins to lose its power over you. Success no longer makes you arrogant, and failure no longer makes you hopeless. Praise no longer inflates your ego, and criticism no longer destroys your confidence. You become centered instead of scattered, intentional instead of reactive, peaceful instead of anxious. This is where true magnetism begins, not in trying to impress the world, but in mastering the mind that experiences it. Once you achieve that, your presence speaks with a quiet strength that no external validation can ever create or take away. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many people think it means forcing yourself through pain, living without joy, or following strict routines that leave no room for flexibility. But true discipline is none of these things. At its core, discipline is an act of self-respect. It is the decision to honor the promises you make to yourself, even when your emotions try to persuade you otherwise. It is choosing what is right over what is easy, what is meaningful over what is immediately comfortable. Most people wait until they feel motivated before they take action. They tell themselves they will begin tomorrow, next week, or when they finally feel inspired. The problem is that motivation is unpredictable. It rises and falls with circumstances, emotions, and energy levels. If your progress depends on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. Discipline, however, is different. It teaches you to act because the action aligns with your values, not because you feel excited in the moment. Imagine two individuals who both dream of becoming stronger, wiser, and more successful. One works only when enthusiasm appears. The other follows a simple routine every day, regardless of mood. After a month, the difference may seem small. After a year, it becomes undeniable. After several years, they appear to be completely different people. The separation was never created by talent. It was created by consistent choices repeated long enough to shape identity. This is why discipline builds confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you send your mind a powerful message. I can trust myself. Confidence is not produced by compliments from others. It is produced by evidence. Each completed task, every early morning, every workout finished, every difficult conversation handled with maturity becomes proof that you are becoming someone reliable. Eventually, you no longer need external validation because your own actions have convinced you of your strength. Small habits deserve far more attention than dramatic efforts. Many people search for life-changing breakthroughs while ignoring the ordinary routines that quietly transform lives. Reading 10 pages every day may not seem impressive, but over a year it becomes thousands of pages of accumulated knowledge. Exercising for 30 minutes may feel insignificant today, but after months it reshapes both body and mind. Saving a small amount consistently builds financial stability more effectively than occasional bursts of effort. Great achievements rarely arrive through extraordinary moments. They are usually the result of ordinary actions performed with extraordinary consistency. Discipline also protects you from becoming a prisoner of your emotions. Some mornings you will feel energetic. Other mornings you will feel tired, discouraged, or uncertain. If every emotion dictates your decisions, your life becomes unstable because emotions constantly change. A disciplined person acknowledges emotions without allowing them to become the leader. They understand that feelings are temporary visitors, while values are permanent guides. This does not mean becoming cold or emotionless. It means learning the difference between listening to your emotions and obeying them. Fear may tell you to avoid a challenge, yet discipline encourages you to take one small step forward. Laziness may invite you to postpone important work, yet discipline reminds you why you began. Doubt may whisper that your efforts are meaningless, but discipline answers by continuing anyway. Every time discipline overrules temporary discomfort, your mental strength grows. There is another remarkable effect of discipline that many people overlook. It creates peace. When you consistently complete your responsibilities, you spend less time carrying guilt, regret, and anxiety. Procrastination often produces far more stress than the work itself. The disciplined mind sleeps better because it is not constantly negotiating with unfinished commitments. There is a quiet freedom that comes from knowing you have done what needed to be done. People are naturally attracted to individuals who demonstrate this kind of reliability. They know where they stand with someone who is disciplined. Such a person follows through on commitments, arrives prepared, remains dependable under pressure, and continues moving forward even when circumstances become difficult. This reliability creates trust, and trust is one of the strongest forms of personal magnetism. People admire consistency because it is increasingly rare. Remember that discipline is not about becoming perfect. You will miss days, you will make mistakes, you will experience setbacks. The disciplined person is not someone who never falls. It is someone who refuses to stay down. Instead of allowing one mistake to become a reason for quitting, they simply return to the path. Progress is measured by the willingness to continue, not by achieving flawless performance. When you practice discipline every day, something deeper begins to change. You stop identifying yourself by your intentions and start identifying yourself by your actions. You no longer say, I want to become stronger. Your habits prove that you already are becoming stronger. Your identity slowly transforms because your daily choices reinforce the person you are building. And that transformation cannot be taken away by criticism, failure, or temporary hardship because it has been earned through countless moments of quiet consistency. That is the kind of strength that commands respect without asking for it, and the kind of presence that naturally draws people toward you. Every day, your mind is being shaped, whether you realize it or not. Just as the body is influenced by the food it consumes, the mind is influenced by the ideas, conversations, environments, and experiences it repeatedly absorbs. This process is often invisible. You may believe your thoughts belong entirely to you, yet many of them are quietly borrowed from the people around you, the content you consume, and the habits you repeat. This is why protecting your mind is not an act of isolation. It is an act of wisdom. Many people want peace, but they constantly expose themselves to chaos. They desire confidence, but they spend hours comparing themselves to carefully edited images of other people's lives. They want focus, yet they surround themselves with endless distractions that scatter their attention. Then they wonder why they feel anxious, uncertain, and mentally exhausted. The answer is rarely hidden. A mind cannot produce clarity if it is continuously fed confusion. Imagine trying to grow a healthy tree in poisoned soil. No matter how much water or sunlight it receives, its roots will struggle because the foundation is unhealthy. Your mind works the same way. Your thoughts are the roots of your actions, your habits become the trunk, and your results become the fruit. If the roots are constantly absorbing negativity, fear, resentment, and distraction, the fruit cannot be healthy. One of the strongest habits you can develop is becoming selective about what deserves your attention. Attention is one of your most valuable resources because whatever receives your attention gradually shapes your identity. Every book you read, every conversation you entertain, every video you watch, and every person you spend time with leaves a small imprint on your thinking. One impression may seem insignificant, But thousands of repeated impressions create beliefs, and beliefs eventually determine behavior. This does not mean avoiding every difficult person or pretending that negativity does not exist. Life will always contain criticism, conflict, disappointment, and uncertainty. Mental strength is not built by escaping reality. It is built by learning how to engage with reality without allowing it to control your inner state. You cannot always choose what happens around you, but you can choose what you allow to remain within you. There are people who constantly complain. Their conversations revolve around blame, excuses, and problems without solutions. Spend enough time with them, and you may slowly begin to adopt the same mindset without realizing it. There are also people who challenge themselves, seek knowledge, take responsibility, and look for opportunities to grow. Their attitude becomes contagious as well. The people closest to you are not simply companions, they are influences. Their habits quietly become your habits, and their standards often become your standards. This is why mentally strong individuals are intentional about their relationships. They do not choose friends based only on entertainment or convenience. They value people who encourage honesty, discipline, humility, and growth. Such relationships may not always be comfortable because genuine friends are willing to tell you the truth. Yet those truthful conversations often become turning points that shape your future. The same principle applies to the information you consume. Modern life offers unlimited access to content, but unlimited access does not mean unlimited benefit. If your day begins with negativity and ends with endless scrolling, your mind never has the opportunity to rest or reflect. Constant stimulation weakens concentration because the brain becomes accustomed to seeking the next source of excitement. Over time, silence feels uncomfortable, patience feels impossible, and deep thinking becomes rare. A disciplined mind creates space for reflection. Instead of filling every quiet moment with noise, it learns to appreciate stillness. It reads ideas that expand understanding, instead of only seeking entertainment. It asks questions instead of blindly accepting opinions. It values learning because knowledge strengthens judgment, and sound judgment strengthens confidence. Protecting your environment also means protecting your physical surroundings. A cluttered space often encourages a cluttered mind. When your surroundings are organized, your attention becomes clearer. Small acts such as cleaning your workspace, limiting unnecessary distractions, and creating time for uninterrupted focus may appear insignificant, yet they communicate an important message to your brain. What matters deserves your full attention. Equally important is learning when to step away. Not every argument requires your participation. Not every opinion deserves your emotional investment. Some battles only drain your energy while offering nothing in return. Wisdom is measured not only by knowing what to pursue, but also by knowing what to leave behind. Every unnecessary conflict steals attention from the goals that truly matter. As you become more intentional about your environment, you will notice subtle but powerful changes. Your thinking becomes calmer, your decisions become clearer, your emotions become more balanced. You stop reacting to every distraction because your priorities become stronger than temporary impulses. This quiet stability is one of the most magnetic qualities a person can possess. Others trust those who are not easily shaken because steadiness inspires confidence. Remember that your future is being shaped long before the results become visible. It is being shaped by today's conversations, today's habits, today's choices, and today's environment. Every wise decision to protect your mind is an investment in the person you are becoming. Guard your attention carefully. Surround yourself with people who elevate your character. Seek knowledge that strengthens your understanding and create an environment that supports your highest values. When you consistently protect what enters your mind, you also protect the direction of your life, and a disciplined mind will always become stronger, wiser, and more naturally magnetic over time. Many people believe that strength is measured by how quickly you respond, how loudly you defend yourself, or how effectively you win an argument. But genuine mental strength follows a different principle. It understands that not every challenge deserves your attention, not every criticism deserves your explanation, and not every emotion deserves immediate expression. One of the greatest skills you can develop is learning when to remain silent and when to speak. This is not weakness, it is wisdom guided by self control. Every day, your emotions are tested. Someone misunderstands your intentions. A stranger says something disrespectful. A colleague takes credit for your work. A friend disappoints you. In these moments, your mind immediately wants to react. It wants to prove a point, defend your pride, or satisfy the temporary urge to be right. But if every external event can control your emotions, then your peace does not belong to you. It belongs to everyone around you. Emotional control begins with recognizing the space between what happens and how you respond. That small space is where your freedom exists. Most people never notice it because they allow emotions to make decisions for them. Anger becomes their voice, fear becomes their guide, ego becomes their advisor. They react first and reflect later. Unfortunately, the consequences of impulsive reactions often last much longer than the emotions that created them. A mentally strong person trains themselves to pause. That pause may only last a few seconds, but within those seconds, they ask an important question. Will this response improve the situation, or will it simply satisfy my emotions? That single question has prevented countless regrets throughout history. Silence plays a powerful role in developing this discipline. Silence is not the absence of confidence, it is often evidence of it. When you know who you are, you no longer feel the need to defend yourself against every opinion. You understand that people will judge you according to their own experiences, beliefs, and limitations. Trying to control every opinion others have about you is an impossible task. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Every insult you receive becomes another stone. Every criticism becomes another stone. Every disagreement becomes another stone. If you insist on picking up every stone that life throws at you, eventually you will become exhausted. But if you learn to leave unnecessary burdens where they belong, your journey becomes much lighter. Silence is often the act of leaving those stones behind. This does not mean avoiding difficult conversations or ignoring injustice. There are moments when speaking is necessary, especially when protecting yourself or others. But there is a profound difference between speaking from wisdom and reacting from wounded pride. Wisdom chooses the right words at the right time. Ego simply wants the last word. Observe the people who possess lasting influence. They rarely rush into conversations. They listen carefully before speaking. They ask questions before making assumptions. They allow others to reveal themselves instead of interrupting them. Because of this, when they finally speak, their words carry weight. Their silence has created value for their voice. Modern life constantly encourages immediate reactions. Social media rewards outrage. News headlines compete for emotional responses. Notifications demand instant attention. The faster you react, the easier it becomes for external circumstances to control your inner world. Mental strength requires resisting this pattern. It requires slowing down enough to think clearly before acting. When you practice emotional control, you begin noticing emotions without becoming their prisoner. You may still feel anger, disappointment, fear, or frustration, but those emotions no longer dictate your behavior. They become information rather than instructions. You acknowledge them, understand them, and then choose your response deliberately. This ability transforms relationships as well. Conflicts become easier to resolve because you stop trying to win every argument. You begin listening to understand rather than listening to respond. You recognize that many disagreements are fueled not by facts but by wounded egos. When one person remains calm, the emotional intensity of the entire situation often decreases. People naturally trust those who remain composed under pressure. Calmness communicates stability. It reassures others that you can be relied upon even during uncertainty. This quiet confidence is deeply magnetic because it is increasingly rare. Anyone can appear confident when life is easy. It takes genuine inner strength to remain balanced when circumstances become difficult. Remember that every reaction has a cost. Every unnecessary argument consumes energy. Every moment spent proving yourself is a moment taken away from improving yourself. Protect your energy carefully because your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Where your attention goes, your life follows. As you continue developing this habit, you will discover that peace is not found by controlling other people. It is found by mastering yourself. You cannot always choose what happens around you, but you can always practice choosing the quality of your response. And over time, people will notice something different about you. They will not remember that you always had the perfect answer. They will remember that you remained calm when everyone else lost control. They will remember that your presence brought clarity instead of confusion, stability instead of chaos, and wisdom instead of unnecessary noise. That is the quiet power of silence, and it is one of the strongest foundations of a magnetic and mentally resilient life. Many people spend their lives searching for comfort, believing that an easy life will make them happy. They avoid challenges, delay difficult decisions, and choose what feels good in the moment rather than what serves them in the long run. Yet, if you observe the people who possess genuine mental strength, you will notice something very different. They do not organize their lives around comfort. They organize their lives around purpose. Purpose changes the way you experience hardship. Without purpose, every obstacle feels like an interruption. Every setback feels unfair. Every inconvenience becomes a reason to stop. But when your actions are connected to something meaningful, obstacles no longer appear as barriers. They become part of the path itself. Imagine two people carrying the same heavy weight. One carries it because he has no choice. The other carries it because he knows it will protect and provide for the people he loves. The weight is identical, but the meaning behind it is completely different. Purpose transforms burden into responsibility and responsibility into strength. One of the greatest dangers of modern life is that comfort has become incredibly accessible. Endless entertainment is only a click away. Distraction follows you in your pocket. Every moment of boredom can immediately be replaced by scrolling, watching, or consuming something new. While there is nothing inherently wrong with comfort or entertainment, they become dangerous when they replace growth. A comfortable life without purpose slowly weakens the mind because it teaches you to escape every uncomfortable emotion instead of learning from it. A purposeful person understands that discomfort is often a sign of development. Learning a new skill is uncomfortable. Building discipline is uncomfortable. Having honest conversations is uncomfortable. Waking up early, exercising consistently, admitting mistakes, and remaining patient during difficult seasons all require discomfort. But these temporary moments of difficulty create lasting strength. This is why mentally resilient people ask themselves a different question. Instead of asking, what is easiest, they ask, what is worth doing? That single shift changes everything. Easy choices often provide temporary relief, but create long-term regret. Meaningful choices may require sacrifice today, but they build confidence, wisdom, and peace tomorrow. Purpose also protects you from distraction. Every day, the world competes for your attention. Advertisements, opinions, trends, and endless notifications constantly try to decide what deserves your focus. If you have no clear purpose, you will naturally follow whatever captures your attention first. But if your direction is clear, you become selective. You begin saying no to things that do not move you toward your goals. This is one of the hidden powers of purpose. It simplifies decision making. You no longer waste energy trying to please everyone or chase every opportunity. You evaluate your choices by asking a simple question: does this bring me closer to the person I want to become? If the answer is no, you let it go without guilt. Purpose also gives you emotional stability during difficult seasons. There will be days when motivation disappears. There will be mornings when you feel tired, discouraged, or uncertain. If you rely only on motivation, your progress will stop whenever your emotions change. But purpose does not depend on feelings. Purpose reminds you why you started even when you no longer feel excited. Think about a tree growing through changing seasons. During spring, it blossoms. During summer, it grows. During autumn, it lets go of its leaves. During winter, it appears lifeless. Yet throughout every season, its roots continue holding firmly beneath the ground. Purpose works like those roots. While circumstances change around you, your foundation remains stable because it is anchored to something deeper than temporary emotions. There is another important lesson about purpose that many people overlook. Purpose is not always something dramatic or world famous. Society often teaches that your purpose must be extraordinary to matter. But true purpose can be found in ordinary responsibilities performed with extraordinary commitment. Raising a family with love, becoming excellent at your profession, serving your community with integrity, improving yourself so you can positively influence others. These are meaningful purposes because they contribute to something greater than personal comfort. Purpose also requires patience. We often expect immediate results, but meaningful work grows slowly. A farmer does not plant seeds in the morning and demand fruit by evening. He waters, protects, and waits because he understands that growth follows consistent effort over time. Your character develops in the same way. Every disciplined action, every honest decision, every act of perseverance is like planting another seed. The harvest may not appear today, but it is quietly taking shape beneath the surface. When your purpose becomes greater than your desire for comfort, something remarkable happens. Fear loses much of its control over you. Criticism becomes less intimidating. Failure becomes a lesson instead of a verdict. Delays become opportunities to develop patience rather than excuses to quit. You stop asking life to become easier and begin asking yourself to become stronger. Eventually, people notice this transformation. They are drawn to those who move with quiet determination instead of constant hesitation. They respect those who remain committed even when success is invisible. They trust those whose actions consistently reflect their values rather than their moods. That is the quiet power of purpose. It does not promise a life without struggle. Instead, it gives every struggle meaning. And when your life is guided by meaning rather than comfort, you develop a kind of strength that cannot be shaken by temporary circumstances. A strength that naturally inspires confidence in others and creates a presence that is calm, resilient, and truly magnetic. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that strength comes from being better than everyone else. From an early age, we are encouraged to compare. We compare our grades with classmates, our appearance with strangers, our income with coworkers, and our achievements with people we see online. Slowly, comparison becomes a habit, and without realizing it, we allow other people's lives to become the measuring stick for our own happiness. This way of thinking is dangerous because comparison has no finish line. No matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone who seems richer, stronger, smarter, more successful, or more admired. If your confidence depends on being ahead of others, your confidence will always remain fragile. The moment someone appears to be doing better, your sense of worth begins to weaken. A mentally strong person understands a different principle. The only meaningful comparison is between the person you are today and the person you were yesterday. That is where real growth happens. Improvement is not a competition against the world. It is a commitment to your own potential. Imagine planting two trees in different environments. One grows quickly because it receives more sunlight. The other grows more slowly because it faces harsher conditions. It would make no sense to judge one tree by the speed of the other. Each has its own soil, its own climate, and its own challenges. Human lives are no different. Every person carries experiences, opportunities, responsibilities, and obstacles that cannot be seen from the outside. Comparing your journey to someone else's ignores the reality that your starting points are different. Instead of asking, why am I not where they are? Begin asking, am I becoming wiser than I was last year? Am I more disciplined than I was last month? Do I respond to difficulties better than I did before? These questions shift your attention from competition to development. They encourage progress instead of insecurity. Continuous self-improvement begins with honesty. It requires the courage to acknowledge weaknesses without allowing those weaknesses to define your identity. There is a significant difference between saying, I failed, and saying, I am a failure. The first statement recognizes an event. The second creates an identity. Mentally strong individuals never confuse temporary setbacks with permanent definitions of themselves. Self-reflection becomes one of the most valuable habits you can develop. At the end of each day, take a few moments to examine your actions. Ask yourself what you handled well, where your emotions controlled you, what lesson you learned, and what one improvement you can make tomorrow. These simple questions gradually sharpen your awareness. They transform every experience, whether successful or painful, into a lesson rather than wasted time. Growth also demands humility. The moment you believe there is nothing left to learn, your development begins to stop. Knowledge is not reserved for classrooms or books. Every conversation, every mistake, every challenge, and every person you meet has something to teach you if you remain open enough to listen. Humility does not make you weak. It keeps your mind flexible. A flexible mind adapts, learns, and evolves, while an arrogant mind remains trapped by its own certainty. This is why lifelong learning is one of the defining characteristics of mentally resilient people. They are curious. They read, observe, question, and reflect. They understand that improving the quality of their thinking improves the quality of their decisions, and better decisions gradually shape a better life. They are not obsessed with collecting information simply to appear intelligent. They seek wisdom because wisdom influences how they respond to pressure, relationships, opportunities, and adversity. It is equally important to recognize that growth is often invisible. Many people quit because they expect immediate results. They want confidence after one motivational video, discipline after one productive week, or emotional control after a few days of practice. Real transformation does not happen that way. Just as a seed spends a long time growing beneath the surface before anyone sees a tree, your character develops quietly before others recognize the change. The invisible work is often the most important work. Do not underestimate small improvements. Reading 10 pages every day may seem insignificant, but over a year it becomes several books. Exercising for 30 minutes each day may not change your body overnight, but months later it transforms your health. Practicing patience in one difficult conversation may appear small, but repeated consistently, it reshapes your character. Great lives are rarely built through dramatic moments. They are built through ordinary actions repeated with extraordinary consistency. As you continue improving yourself, something remarkable begins to happen. You become less interested in proving your value because your confidence is no longer borrowed from external approval. You no longer feel threatened by someone else's success because you understand that another person's achievement does not diminish your own potential. Their victory is not your defeat. There is enough opportunity for everyone willing to grow. Ironically, this mindset makes you far more magnetic. People are naturally drawn to individuals who are secure enough to celebrate others, humble enough to keep learning, and disciplined enough to keep improving. They sense authenticity because there is no need for unnecessary competition or constant validation. Quiet confidence replaces insecurity, curiosity replaces arrogance, and steady progress replaces comparison. Never stop becoming a better version of yourself. There's always another lesson to learn, another habit to strengthen, another fear to overcome, and another level of wisdom to reach. The destination is not perfection, it is progress. Every day you choose growth over comparison, discipline over excuses, and learning over complacency. You build a mind that cannot easily be shaken and a presence that naturally inspires respect. That is the kind of strength no one can give you and no one can take away.